Or be careful which one you choose, because some of them fuckers are poisonous.
Yeah, some are delicious with some garlic and white wine and a little butter, and then other ones will just kill you fucking dead. So yeah, you gotta you gotta be
Much
wise.
like relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John, and he's Andy.
Yes.
She is benediction. She is addicted to thee. She is the root connection. She is connecting with he. More on that later. But first, Brother Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Fairly middling. So you got a song for us. What do you got? Al Pacino. What do you got? What do you got?
I've got a track called Mushrooms, and it is by a band called Letters to Lions. Any of that ringing a bell? You
Oh,
ever hear of Letters to
uh,
Lions?
I see we haven't finished with the terrible band name competition. It's a fair effort. It's not one of your best, but it's a fair effort in terms of shitty names for bands.
Yes.
So no, none of those rings anything else. No.
Okay. But it's weird because when you hear Letters to Lions and then Mushroom, I instantly think of Lion's Mane mushroom. So it should be Letters to Lion's Mane mushrooms. But yes, that is the name of the track. Please go off, give it a go, and then come back and let me know what you've made of it.
Will do. Interesting start there. It almost, it put me in mind straight away. I don't know why, but it did. Like a deconstructed version of Boys Don't Cry by The Cure. Just but it clearly isn't. Right, reset, start again. It's interesting. You get this kind of indie, there's no space between it, but you still get this indie vibe. And then the drums kicked in. And then you got this very lazy, dreamy chord that just like took all the energy out of it. Which is guess what they're going for, but that's interesting. I wonder if it see it. Let's let the air out of it. Plodding bass.
As I'm walking through these open skies, and I know that I want you to go. And this feeling of running mine, and we're fading with the dreams that never end.
It's interesting. And they caught way through the song. This sound is kind of British, but it kind of isn't. I can see this being an American band quite easily, but there's like British touches to it. One of the touches being the guy's voice. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not British, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is. It kind of puts me in mind of, I don't know why, because I'm not really that familiar with them, but Hard Fi. Stars of CCTV is the only one I've got of theirs, but it kind of reminds me a bit of that. Yeah, even though the drum's still going, there's like a fairly hefty beat to it. It feels very sort of lazy and dreamy, and that's that sort of that very sort of languid chord. And And it's a nice bit from another guitar afterwards. It's sort of these little sort of like embellishments on the end. But the bass is, but again, plodding's probably ambling's quite the word. It's just chill, take your time. I mean, the whole thing gives you this sort of lazy. And he says something about dreams that never end or something in that line as well. Interesting. All right, let's see how it progresses.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for right now? What are you looking for? What are you looking for right now? I'm walking through endless doors. I'm walking through endless doors right now. I'm walking through endless doors, and I can see, I can see, I can see more. I'm not alone, I know that you will be standing by. I'm not alone, I know that you will be walking by. It's falling, and I can see it. It's falling, and I can see it.
Okay, so we've got a little change there. It's nice how they repeat the phrase. I think it's like, what are you waiting for? And then it's bounced back to him. What are you waiting for? It's a different vocal track. It's probably him again. If it's not, it's somebody who shares pretty much the same DNA, almost identical voicing. And then he says it again, so it's 3 times that line. And then what are you looking for? 3 times. And he almost gets the. And now there's something about walking through endless doors, and thankfully they're not endless. He only does it about 6 times. But it gives the idea of this questioning, bouncing backwards forwards inside his own head, almost, to me. And then it rises up a bit, and it says something about, I'm not alone. This is what I scribbled down. And we'll be standing by. And then she's falling, and I can't see it, which isn't helpful. But it sounds like there's synth lines or perhaps a bit of vocal line as well, but it's all sort of rising up for this. But so it's a kind of like a mini climax to this part of the song. Interesting. And then it all drops down with a guitar note, and I think it sounds like we're going back into the previous sort of version. So perhaps that was a chorus. Let's see.
I fall into open arms. I fall into open arms. She's like a velvet sky. She's like my own desire. I fall into open arms. I fall into open arms. She's like a velvet sky. She's like my butterfly.
Nicer the previous verse because it's carried on, but so you've still got that going on. I think it's the hi hat or whatever, and then the drum is doing a very sort of lazy beat. We've got this the two of them. It's strange. It's strange.
She said, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for right now? What are you
Back into
looking
the
for?
chorus.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for right now? I'm walking through endless doors. I'm walking through endless doors right now. I'm walking through endless doors. And I can see, I can see, I can see. I'm not alone, I know that
Bigger
you
rise
will be
this time.
I'm not alone, I know that you will be walking by. It's falling, and I can see it. It's falling, and I can see it. Please be yourself, forget that forever. Forget that forever, I would never be your friend. Please be yourself, get that forever.
Interesting. So yeah, we got that run through once around the block again in terms of the chorus. For a 4 minute song, didn't seem to lot seemed to go really quick. And then we get this sort of like combination at the end. It sounded like even more voices or more overlapping anyway. Sometimes they were double track, doubled on top, and sometimes they were clashing almost. It sounded slightly argumentative. I think it was more fervent in his voice as well, saying, "I'm not your friend." Now that could be, conflict. Actually, yeah, it would be conflict no matter what. But it could be sort of confrontational, or it could be more like romantic positioning, as in getting yourself out of the friend zone. Um, Probably the latter, I'd imagine. And then it breaks to this lovely little guitar bit. And I think for me, if that had been featured more throughout the song, I'd have probably it would have gone with me a bit more. Because I think there's some sort of supposed to be some sort of emotional heft to this, but it doesn't really work for me because it just feels a bit dreamy and a bit lazy. This is more, if you took the lyrics out of it, this is more like the sort of music that's reflective, laying on your back on some grassy mound, watching a azure sky and fluffy clouds, or maybe the old kite or something going along, and you're thinking about the one who got away or something. That's more this sort of the tone of this music, I think. It's decent enough, yeah. Nothing wrong with it. It didn't grab me though. We need to find out a bit more about this, so let's go back and chop it up with Andy.
All right, welcome back. You've made it from the lion's den. What did you make of mushrooms?
God damn it! I felt sure you were going to mention of fungi's, but anyway,
Not this time.
in the smorgasbord of puns, I thought you were going to go for that one. But anyway, so tune starts, and I don't know if it's the chords or something in the water or whatever, and then the bass drum thumping. But I get the notion in my head after about 4 seconds that this is like the beginning of it anyway is almost like a deconstructed version of "Boys Don't Cry" by The Cure. But imagine it's slow that down, but slower. There's one chord, and however, we get a little quick drum fill. The mood changes completely with this one guitar chord. So all that pace from the bass drum and sort of energy with the hi-hat as well is immediately dampened down by this dreamy, lazy guitar chord. Sort of gently strummed. It's like you're sitting on a blow-up settee and someone lets out half the air, you've gone down. So all the energy disperses in the air around you. And it's really weird because the pace is kept up by the drums. And I didn't notice it to the second verse, but that's sort of like, I think it's the hi-hat. It's still tapping away. It's going like 150 beats a fucking minute. But it doesn't make any impact on the song. So it's just going away, but it still feels sort of, leisurely. The bass guitar in particular and Mr. Dreamy chord, as I like to call that guitar, dictate the feel of the song. Each time we get a languorous strum, it's followed by some delightful sort of filigree workings from another guitar on top to do these little expressions after it, which is really nice. So we get a big splash from the cymbals, and then comes a vocalist. Now, I'm not sure about the geography of this band. They sound British adjacent. There are touches that suggest a British influence, but not completely. And the singer is one of them. His voice, in a way, doesn't sound particularly mid-Atlantic, but he reminds me of a little bit of the singer from a band called Hard-Fi, which I'm not overly familiar with that band. I've got the one album by them, Stars of CCTV. I don't even know the singer's name, but it just immediately that pops into my head. And it is not like they're identical. It's kind of the way he delivers as well and all that. So first verse, he mentioned something about open skies and fading dreams that never end. Before what I later learned through repetition as a traditional is the chorus. And there are two big questions asked here. What are you waiting for? What are you looking for? Kind of similar, but no one's, anyway, one's active, one's passive, I guess. But these are asked and echoed in quite a nice way with this other vocal track, which if it's not him again, it's someone who shares his DNA, and it's quite nice. So it's asked and asked and asked again. There's all triplets, and you get this echoing. And to me, it gives the impression of internal conflict, or at least doubt. It's like an internal voice in his head asking these questions and bouncing back. And they seem to be bouncing around inside his noggin, these questions. So it's interesting, reflective. He then says about his walking through endless doors. After a few reoccurrences of that, thankfully, we learn they're not endless. Only about 5 or 6 times he mentions them. But the doors somehow do a trick, because all of a sudden he can see more. Doors of perception, perhaps. All through this, the music is keeping the same structure and pace until this point. You've got stretched out notes here, and the pitch slowly rises up from this point. Extra urgency in the vocal delivery. It all indicates, importance, chorus, mini culmination. And then I get some mixed messages from this. He's not alone, and they're standing by. However, she's falling, but he can't see it. Fair enough. Plenty of metal work from the drummer here, and it all sort of fades. We drop back into the sort of verse protocol from before. The bass guitar in particular catches my ear at this point. I don't think it was any higher in the mix than before, but it really caught me here. It's just ambling along. And it's sort of taking out any residual heat or energy from the chorus. It's all dampened down. Now he's falling, so it must be catching. But nice, it's 2 open arms, so someone is catching. And then it's once more around the block. We do the same sort of pattern again. The echoing triplet of questions of the chorus that leads to the endless doors. But this time round, the I'm not alone, she's falling section has some added oomph. I think there's some really big sort of synth notes in there, which we talked about again, rising up. So the whole thing feels like it's lifting up. And then we get to the bonus round. At this point, the vocal tracks start really overlapping. And sometimes they are fighting against each other, and sometimes they're doubling up, almost adding strength. It's really interesting. It does sound a touch argumentative, definitely chaotic. And I catch I'm not your friend and slight variation many, many, many times, which is interesting because it could be conflict or it could be romantic positioning, as in I'm not your friend anymore, I'm out of the friend zone. I think it's probably the latter, but I'm not sure. And it's interesting. It reminded me of a time where, for whatever reason, I won't go into for legal reasons, I was in a bit of a state, and myself and my friend had been partaking. We went into this very busy pub, and we both reacted in strange ways. We were standing there having a drink, and my right arm wouldn't keep. It was almost like Dr. Strangelove. It kept rising up. I was still holding the drink in my hand. I had to do that. It was very odd. But then I could hear everybody's voice all at once. It was like this babbling. And you get some of that impression here as well. It's just like it's going over and over and top. Well, you imagine if it carried on, like it'd be even more voices. It's really interesting. The vocals break actually mid-sentence, as is, they're going on, and then we get this guitar break. It's not really a solo because it's about 10 seconds, but it sounds wonderful. And then the song does a very quick fade out. So if I'm being honest with this, I enjoyed the song. I thought some of the musical choices didn't work for me, and I realized this is a bit of a presumption on my part. But I feel like, without knowing all the lyrics, that this is intended to carry some sort of emotional heft. And I just don't think that the dreamy guitar chords add to it. They probably distract from what I get from it. That tone from that guitar is more of a reflective laying on your back on a grassy hill and looking at fluffy clouds in the skies, or watching kites, and thinking about the one and gone away. Whereas I think from this is more not angst, but it's more sort of forthright. Um, that final guitar break sounded wonderful, and I wonder for me if there was more of that in it rather than this relaxy sort of dreaminess to it. It would take so much of the oomph out of it, and it may have hooked me more. It's a really
Hmm.
nice song. It's just one that didn't quite hook me, and I think that's what I got from it. Now, it may be that that's not the intention at all, and they got it spot on for what they wanted to do.
Hmm.
That's from first listen. That's all I can say.
Okay. That's interesting because like the dreamy guitars for me is part of the charm and help illustrating the contemplative nature of the narrator and how he's in his own head or in his own thoughts, which
Right.
is not exactly a dream state, but it is sort of this non-tangible state, right? Where you're just like talking back
Yeah.
and forth with somebody. So I thought it did. I have always thought, oh, what an excellent way to kind of illustrate inner dialogue or um, this idea of introspection rather than overt conversation between two different parties. So I appreciate your perspective on it, and it's always good to hear someone else's POV on something when you have your own, just to provide perspective on things. But interesting. I'm glad that you liked it in spite of that or regardless of that.
Yeah.
Though you mentioned this is totally an aside, I guess sort of like your initial reference to it really was. I guess you were correlating, but Hard Fi Cash Machine, is that a track by them?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only one by them I've ever heard. But when you said Hard Fi, the name Cash Machine lit up in my head, and I think that's the only track I've ever heard by them. But I did download it because at the time when it came out, like 15 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. It was a
really,
banger.
yeah, I liked it. There's
Well,
a
see, do you
Hmm.
know what? Bear with me a sec. You can edit this bit out. Um, Hard fight. There's another track in there which I really do like. Living for the Weekend. That's a
Okay,
great song. And the
okay,
video to it, as I remember, has the what's it called? The murmurations of starlings, like
uh-huh.
thousands of them all moving. And that's
Yeah.
part of the sort of and that's a really good song actually. Cash Machine's the first track on the album. That's and I do it if you put a gun to my head, I could only probably know how even though I've had this album ages, Cash Machine and Live for the Weekend, the only two that I actually remember the songs.
That
So there
name
you go.
set like Live for the Weekend sounds familiar. I may have heard it in passing. I'll have to go back and give it a look now that you've sort of like drummed up this ghost of a memory in my head of this
There
song.
you go. Anyway, yeah.
But, um, but yeah, let's get on to letters letters to Lions. They are an Australian indie rock band, so there I guess is your English adjacent correlation there.
Oh, they won't like me for saying that.
No. But I
Bloody
mean, we've all
Poms.
seen the Australian flag. I mean, it's already UK adjacent. So,
Oh,
um,
do not say that aloud to any Antipodean you meet, Andy. They will not love you for it.
okay, fair. I don't know how much they do anyway, but so yeah, they consist of the band consists of Adam Newling on vocals and guitar, Joel Osborne on guitar and vocals, Jackson Kent on bass, and Curtis Newbit Hill on drums. The band actually began as a folk project, but the fellows soon realized their passion for getting fans up and dancing. And so, influenced by the surf and skate culture of the music and the music of The Cure, which is really funny because you mentioned "Boys Don't Cry" at the very beginning of your
Yeah, wow.
turn to me. Yeah, that was, I was like, oh my god, that's really interesting. So yeah, marrying all this together, they stumbled into more of a rock and roll territory. Letters to Lion's guitar-driven and melodic sound fits somewhere between what would be classified as alt rock and new wave. Since 2016, they've released 3 EPs: Clean Eating in 2016, Gray's Point the very next year in 2017, and then 7 years later in 2024, they released an album called 7 Years, believe it or not. After the release of Gray's Point, the band split. According to the band, We all had to go our separate ways and lick our wounds and heal. We got jobs and started families, but I guess we couldn't get away from this like we had thought. Taking that into account, it makes perfect sense why their first EP after a temporary breakup in 2017 would be called 7 Years. The band just completed their reunion tour of New Zealand and Australia, during which they played several tracks from their earlier EPs while also promoting 7 Years and their new material. The track I had you check out today actually comes from their debut EP, Clean Eating. The EP's sound fuses grungy, jangle, and dream pop genres, following an all inclusive writing process. Clean Eating was born from the jam, according to the band, which is always a fun way to write when you all just start, someone plays something, you all just start playing with it, and then out comes a song. That's always my favorite way to kind of like churn stuff out. Um, According to The Review, an online publication dedicated to indie music, who reviewed the band's debut back in 2016, this four-piece band from the Southern Hemisphere delivers a solid selection of indie rock. They recently released their debut EP, Clean Eating, and from what we've heard, it is healthily satisfying. Over at Album of the Year, a contributor wrote the following upon discovering this EP. This short EP oozes Aussie charm and passion, with a tight yet varied mix of tracks on display. Mushrooms is an absolutely stellar opener, faultless even, and following is the other standout track here. The other songs help to fill out the EP and result in a pretty brilliant listen. So let's jump into these lyrics. As I'm walking through these open skies, and I know that I know that I know that I'll watch you go. And this feeling, a running mind, and we're fading with the dreams that never end. She said, "What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for right now? And what are you looking for? What are you looking for? What are you looking for right now? I'm walking through endless doors. I'm walking through endless doors. I'm walking through endless doors right now. I'm walking through endless doors and I can't see. I can't see. I can't see anymore. I'm not alone. I know that you will be standing by me. I'm not alone. I know that you will be walking by. She's falling, and I can't see you. She's falling, and I can't see you. I fall into open arms. I fall into open arms. She's like a velvet sky. She's like my own desire. I fall into open arms. I fall into open arms. She's like the velvet sky. She's like my butterfly. She said, "What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for right now? And what are you looking for? What are you looking for? What are you looking for right now? I'm walking through endless doors. I'm walking through endless doors right now. I'm walking through endless doors and I can't see. I can't see. I can't see anymore. I'm not alone. I know that you will be standing by. I'm not alone. I know that you will be walking by. She's falling. She's falling and I can't see you. She's falling. She's falling and I can't see you. Never be your friend. I'm not your friend. Please be yourself. I'm not your friend. Get by forever. Get by forever. I will never be your friend. I'm not your friend. Please be yourself. We get by forever. We get by forever. I will never be your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend. I'll be the one you had. I will never be your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend. I will never be your friend. So the song portrays a sense of uncertainty and confusion symbolized by walking through these endless doors and not being able to see clearly or to get any closure, because every time you go through a door, there's another one waiting for you. The repeated phrase, "I'm not your friend," reflect the struggle with identity and a desire to be true to oneself, even if it means not conforming to others' expectations. So yeah, interesting song. I like it's funny, not many times on this channel do we really like butt heads is a big fucking yeah, it's a bit much. But like have
It's just
different
completely
ends of the
different
spectrum.
perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, I this does sound like such an internalized dilemma and struggle and the idea of it existing in this hazy consciousness that I think the music does a really good job of like illustrating and sounding like is what drew me to it because I thought, oh, what an excellent way to illustrate the state of mind you're probably in and the confusion and the not being able to focus all your energy on one thing because it's not about what one person has done to you. It's about this um, dilemma or crossroads that maybe you're at in your life that probably resides up here before you can then live it in the real world. So yeah, that's kind of why I dig it so much. But I really do. Oh, I mean, super respect your perspective and opinion on it, and also taking into account you've only listened to the song once, and I've listened to it a bunch of times. So maybe your perspective might change if you were to listen to it again. And even if it doesn't, it's still good to have it because I respect it a whole lot. So thank you so much for giving this thing a go, John. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's just again not getting all the lyrics, which I'm famous for. Um, it came across as a bit more sort of ardent in terms of, she's falling and stuff. Now it may you're right. There's different sort of mindsets to it. Someone struggling with a dilemma can be, quite sort of gripped with inertia, or you could be have the turmoil of someone like Hamlet, which is
Mhm.
real, full on, So it's a difference, same sort of thing. This internalizing, but you get different sort of strengths or energies to it.
Yeah,
Um, and I just, but what I was kind of imagining or hearing from the bits, it didn't match to me. Um, Particularly when I can't hear the lyrics to it, I don't pick up the lyrics or there isn't any lyrics. You try to take the music as a language as well, and
yeah,
certain things do indicate, a shorthand for certain things. Um, and it's just that just didn't sit with me, that chord. Whereas with you, it's the actual thing that hooks you in, and
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
That's the way it is.
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, again, thank you so much for giving this a go. Guys out there in the listening audience,
Okay.
please let us know what you thought of Letters to Lions and their track Mushrooms from their debut EP, Healthy, was it Clean Eating
Sorry,
Song?
Andy.
Yeah.
Just one thing. Why the fuck mushrooms?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I whenever I it's funny you mentioned that because whenever I think of mushrooms, I always think of like maybe, and this is just me going out on a limb here, but being treated like mushrooms, the old adage is like you're kept in the dark and
Kept in
fed
the dark.
shit.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's how he feels his state of mind is in the dark and cluttered with bullshit, and he's trying to sift through all that to make sense of things. That's the only thing I can come up with from like a metaphorical standpoint or something like that. But
Or
yeah,
be careful which one you choose, because some of them fuckers are poisonous.
yeah, some are delicious with some garlic and white wine and a little butter, and then other ones will just kill you fucking dead. So yeah, you gotta you gotta be
Much
wise.
like relationships.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, good question. Actually, I'd love to learn that, but I don't think we're gonna figure that out today. But if anybody else out there knows, if you're a fan of theirs from Australia, please drop that down below and let us know. If you're honestly a fan from there from anywhere, but if you have the answer, please, the comments field is there. It's also there to let us know how you felt about the song. Let us know songs you want us to check out on the channel. Myriad different things, whatever it is, pop it down in there, and we will take note. Thank you so much. Also, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We really do appreciate it. And hopefully, John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. See you later, guys.